Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatiruttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 Chapter 8 Verse 62. Ityuktastam parikramya pranamya cha nrparbhakah yayau madhuvanam punyam hareshcharana charchitam. When Dhruva Maharaja, the son of the king, was thus advised by the great sage Narada, he circumambulated Narada, his spiritual master, and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvana, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of Lord Krishna, and which is therefore especially auspicious. As soon as after Narada gave him the instructions, so Dhruva Maharaj just circumambulated Narada, accepting whatever he said without argument, debate, etc., which is normally what we do if you go and sit in front of our Guru, because we don't actually understand the position of spiritual master. Guru is a representative of Krishna. Because we are so fallen, he appears in that form to give us instructions from outside. But because he also looks like us, eats like us, walks like us, etc., we shouldn't think of the Guru as an ordinary human being, and thereby argue with him, debate with him, etc., just like we would do with any other human being. So he circumambulated and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvana, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of Lord Krishna. It's such a very beautiful place even today if you go there. The temple is on a hillock. Very beautiful soft sand, lot of trees, nice place for sitting and hearing katha, kirtan. Then the temple is very nice. So Narada Muni is there, Dhruva Maharaj is there, form of Vishnu is there. So it's a very beautiful place. Yeah, Lord Krishna resides eternally in Vrajadham. Therefore, it is especially auspicious. Tapovanam gate tasmin pravishtontah puram munihi arhitar khanako ragna sukhasina uvachatam. After Dhruva entered Madhuvana forest to execute devotional service, the great sage Narada thought it wise to go to the king to see how he was faring within the palace. When Narada Muni approached, the king received him properly, offering him due obeisance. After being seated comfortably, Narada began to speak. Narada Uvacha Rajan kim dhyayase dirgham kena parisushyata kim vana rishyate kamo dharmo varthena samyutaha. Great sage Narada inquired, my dear king, your face appears to be withering up, and you look like you have been thinking of something for a very long time. Why is that? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economic development, and sense gratification? So he's asking Dharma, Artha, Kama, is there any problem? And normally because people get affected, not if Dharma is not followed, they're not affected. If Artha and Kama is affected, then they become troubled. Of course, previously they were also worried about Dharma. Primarily they were worried about Dharma and okay, based on Dharma, we'll get Artha and Kama. But current generation, current time in Kali Yuga, it's mostly Artha and Kama. The four stages of advancement of human civilization are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and for some, the stage of Moksha. Narada Muni did not inquire from the king about his liberation, but only regarding the state management, which is meant for advancement of the three principles of Dharma, Artha, and Kama. Since those who engage in such activities are not interested in liberation, Narada did not inquire from the king about this. Liberation is meant for persons who have lost all interest in Dharma, Artha, and Kama. So Narada Muni knew that he is engaged in Dharma, Artha, Kama, so he didn't ask about moksha. Because moksha is for people who have lost all interest in Dharma, Artha, Kama. So we have to understand that we should belong to this group. So we should not have any interest in Dharma, Artha, Kama. For us, it is bhakti. That's it. Of course, in on the platform of bhakti also there are people at different devotees at different stages of maturity. So in the neophyte stage, there could be some attraction to, of course, dharma. Like I said, most people are not bothered. So maybe artha and kama initially. Slowly, as we start hearing more and more, we also start becoming slightly more conscious about dharma. But artha and kama continue till Cheto Darpana Marjanam happens, till the heart becomes cleansed. So once the heart becomes cleansed of all anarthas, then this attraction to artha and kama will go. And it has to go. Though we are not aiming at liberation, that liberation is a side effect, intermediate milestone of our progress. So this liberation is the Brahmabhuta stage. And that Brahmabhuta stage has to happen before one goes to Krishna Prema. So we have to remember that we cannot continue to be in this Artha Kama stage. If at all we want to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So please think about this. This is very important. Helplessly, we keep getting driven towards Artha and Kama. But those who are thoughtful, Bhagavatam is for thoughtful people. Those who are thoughtful, we have to think, saying that why? This is dead matter. Why am I getting attracted to dead matter? Why am I not getting attracted to spirit, the supreme whole, the only Chetana, the only consciousness, real consciousness, the only source of happiness? Why am I not getting attracted to that? Why am I getting attracted to this dead matter? All this, right? Whatever material assets, devices, ornaments, clothing, etc., etc., etc. So somewhere in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes irrational attachment to dead matter. It's irrational attachment. Mm. Would anybody? I mean, if suppose it is a person is alive, we are attached to that person, and if it is dead, if he is dead, and maybe some for some time, maybe because of the feeling of separation, but then we don't get attached to the dead matter, which is the body. So this attachment is very, very irrational. It doesn't have any logic. Rajovacha. Suto me balako brahman strainena karunatmana nirvasita panchavarshaha sahamatra mahan kavihi. King replied, "O best of the Brahmanas, I'm very much addicted to my wife, and I'm so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son who is only 5 years old. I banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee." In this verse, there are some specific words which are to be understood very carefully. The king said that since he was very much addicted to his wife, he had lost all his mercy. That is the result of becoming too affectionate toward women. The king had two wives. The first wife was Suniti and the second was Suruchi. He was too attached to the second wife, however, so he could not behave well with Dhruva Maharaj. That was the cause of Dhruva's leaving home to perform austerities. Although as a father, the king was affectionate toward his son, he minimized his affection for Dhruva Maharaj because he was too much addicted to the second wife. Now he was repenting that both Dhruva Maharaj and his mother Suniti were practically banished. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, and since his mother was being neglected by the king, she was therefore almost banished also. The king repented, having banished his boy, for Dhruva was only 5 years old, and a father should not banish his wife and children or neglect their maintenance. It's a general dharma. Repentant over his neglect of both Suniti and her son, he was morose, and his face appeared withered. According to Manusmriti, one should never desert his wife and children. One should never desert, meaning during Grihastha ashrama. But of course, for a higher cause, anything lower dharma can be rejected. So suppose somebody wants to become a sannyasi, then he can give up his wife and children, but that has to happen on the permission, on the approval of the guru, who knows and who will give the right decision, direction, not whimsically. In a case where the wife and children are disobedient and do not follow the principles of home life, they are sometimes given up. Of course, Prabhupada elsewhere also writes, if the wife and children are not Krishna conscious, are not supportive of Krishna conscious, then also they can be given up. But generally, he doesn't encourage. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, this was not applicable because Dhruva was very mannerly and obedient. Moreover, he was a great devotee. Such a person is never to be neglected. Yet the king was obliged to banish him. Now he was very sorry. Apyanatham vane brahman masmadantyarbhakam prakaha shantam shayanam shudhitam parimlanam mukhambujam. My dear Brahmana, the face of my son was just like a lotus flower. I am thinking of his precarious condition. He is unprotected. He might be very hungry. He might have laid down somewhere in the forest, and the wolves might have attacked him to eat his body. So this is the normal work of the mind. So the mind does lot of speculative stuff. Now, without knowing reality, mind will just simply speculate, because that's why it is called weakness of mind. So one of the qualities of the mind is strength or weakness or determination. Mm. So some human beings are endowed with a very strong determination, and others are not. And those with strong determination can actually follow the vows of devotional service, follow the rules, regulations more strictly than those who are not determined. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that this Hridaya Daurbalyam is the root cause of our lack of progress in Krishna consciousness. So what should we do if we are we are very weak, we don't have strong determination? First thing is we should hear this Dhruva Maharaj pastime again and again and again and again. And we should associate with those devotees who have strong determination to make progress in bhakti and who have demonstrated it in their own life. And we have to take guidance from them and try to become more determined. And of course, we can beg for mercy. We should beg for mercy. And the whole process of that chanting process is begging for service. Begging for service means also begging that the anarthas in the way of the service are also removed. For example, if my determination is becoming a problem, then that also becomes part of the prayer. That is the reason if we are really very concerned about our bhakti, about achieving perfection, then we know that there are so many obstacles, so much of progress has to be done, and that we are disqualified. We are so fallen. If we are actually, if we can understand these things and how difficult our situation is, automatically the chanting has to be more prayerful. It has to be more prayerful, because chanting, Prabhupada said, is begging for service. Like I said, if all these things are obstacles on the path of our service, then we have to beg for those things to get eliminated. And when we are begging, just think about it. When we are begging, uh, the person from whom I am begging for something, I will call out that person's name with either love or respect or whatever. And there will also be helplessness. Mm. So this is the mood in which chanting has to be done. Only then we will actually be attached to the holy name, because we are begging to this person whose name is Krishna, right? And Radharani. So when we are begging, so it's like, assume, just for understanding. So Radha and Krishna are standing in front of you. You say, Krishna, Radha, please. This is the mood of chanting. This is the mood of chanting. ओमेव तदौरात्म्यं स्त्रीजितस्योपधारय योऽङ्खं प्रेम्णारुरुक्षन्तं नाभ्यनन्दम् असत्तमः. Alas, just see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get up on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard-hearted I am. So this is one of the qualities of a good soul, repentance for having done something wrong. Not that we do something wrong and we then just dismiss it off, or if we think that, oh, no, no, see, I'm a devotee anyway, it doesn't matter. No, devotee really means that he will feel sorry for his bad, wrong actions. So here, Tanapada is feeling sorry. Narada Vacha. Mama Suchasvatanayam Devaguptam Vishampate Tat Prabhavam Avignaya Pravrinte Yadyasho Jagat. The great sage Narada replied, my dear king, please do not be aggrieved about your son. He is well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although you have no actual information of his influence, his reputation is already spread all over the world. Hmm? His reputation is already spread all over the world. Sometimes when we hear that great sages and devotees go to the forest and engage themselves in devotional service or meditation, we become surprised. How can one live in the forest and not be taken care of by anyone? But the answer given by a great authority, Narada Muni, is that such persons are well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sharanagati or surrender means acceptance or firm belief that wherever the surrendered soul lives, is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is never alone or unprotected. Please write this down somewhere. This is Sharanagati. Sharanagati just means acceptance or firm faith, firm belief. That's all. It's a state of mind. It's not that we have to come to this stage after so many years in bhakti or after. No, there is no criteria. It's just whenever this firm faith, this acceptance, dependence on Krishna comes in our heart, saying that, okay, now I firmly believe that I'm surrendered to Krishna and that he will protect me. I'm never alone. That is surrender. And so somebody who is just very new, so-called externally new to Krishna consciousness, might have this firm faith. Maybe that person is not even chanting or doing anything, but that person has firm faith in the protection of Krishna. Surrendered soul. Of course, then Krishna will direct such person to a devotee, and then he will learn the ways of devotional service and make tremendous progress. Not that he will just be in this firm state of firm faith and not accept anything. Dhruva Maharaj's affectionate father thought his young boy, only 5 years old, to be in a very precarious position in the jungle. But Narada Muni assured him, you do not have sufficient information about the influence of your son. Anyone who engages in devotional service anywhere within this universe is never unprotected. Look at this. What a kind of sweeping statement Prabhupada is making. Hmm. And his reputation is already spread all over the world. It's like there's some other news channel. Uh, so great devotees news is already spread all over the world. Oh, this person is doing uh, so surrender is doing this kind of service. Of course, devotees are not bothered about their reputation, but yeah, if other devotees hear of this and wish him good or bless him or pray for him based on their positions, then it's very beneficial for the devotee. That's what he looks forward to. Sudushkaram karam kritva lokapalairapi prabhu aishyatyat achirato rajan yasho vipulayam stava. My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages. Very soon he will complete his task and come back home. You should know that he will also spread your reputation all over the world. Here in this verse, Narada Muni has described Dhruva Maharaja as Prabhu. His word is applicable to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Sometimes the spiritual master is addressed as Prabhupada. Prabhu means Supreme Person of Godhead, and Pada means post. According to Vaishnava philosophy, the spiritual master occupies the post of the Supreme Person of Godhead. Or in other words, he is the bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord. Dhruva Maharaja is also described here as Prabhu because he is an Acharya of the Vaishnava school. Another meaning of Prabhu is master of the senses, just like the word Swami. Another significant word is Sudushkaram, very difficult to perform. What was the task that Dhruva Maharaj undertook? The most difficult task in life is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Dhruva would be able to do that. See, this is the most difficult task. Not some material accomplishment, not some achieving some money, position, this, that, and all that. At whatever cost, we should satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That should be the goal of our life. We must remember that Dhruva Maharaj was not fickle. He was determined to execute his service and then come back. It's also very important. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya. Determination, patience, enthusiasm. Every devotee, therefore, should be determined that in this life he will be able to satisfy the Supreme Person of Godhead, and by that process go back home, back to Godhead. That is the perfection of the highest mission of life. So again, like I said, the underlying theme of Dhruva Maharaj's pastime is this determination. He was not fickle. Not that one day we'll say I'll chant 16 rounds, another day 10 rounds, another day 24 rounds. These things won't help. We have to be fixed, determined. Like I said, yeah, again, if we don't have that determination, then we read about Dhruva Maharaj, we associate with devotees who have that determination in the service of Krishna. Many people have a lot of determination when it comes to material things, but not when it comes to spiritual life, devotional service. But it should be the other way around. Even if you're not determined materially, it doesn't matter. But we have to be determined on the spiritual platform. And this is the goal of our life. To satisfy the Supreme Person of Godhead. And we should remember this is the most difficult task in life. There's nothing else more difficult than this. In ISKCON, we call each other Prabhus, which means master of senses. So we should always remember when somebody calls us Prabhu, we should remember, oh, I should be controller of my senses. I should be Goswami, but I'm Godasa. And that beg for mercy, beg for mercy. And like I was saying, we should also take up Sudushkaram tasks to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Going out of the comfort zone. This is what I was saying. Sudushkaram. Very difficult to perform. So we should, whatever, many devotees send their personal dushkaram, or what can I do to go out of this comfort zone. Now we should think about Sudushkaram. That was difficult, but this is very difficult as a next stage. And for a thoughtful, serious devotee, his life has to be one of transformation, one of change. How often do you all think that a devotee should make changes in his or her life? How often should a devotee make changes in his or her life? Anybody?
It's a continuous process, right, Prabhu? So every
Yeah. What does that mean?
I mean, it's kind of introspecting every day based on the understanding, based on the reading, and see
Okay,
how to
understanding,
advance next.
okay, and introspection every day. Okay, what about others? What other? What else can we say with respect to this?
Like I said, whenever
Yeah.
we notice at any point of the time, just
Hmm.
noticing. Whenever we notice, we
Very
have
good.
to change.
Yeah. So it's so continuous that it has to be whenever we notice, and we have to notice. How do we notice? Only if you're doing hearing. If we don't do hearing, we'll be blind to ourselves, to situations around us, to whatever is happening. We'll just be blind, meaning our attention doesn't get drawn there at all. Because we are not training, we are not hearing to things that make us introspect. We just want to hear things that make us feel nice, or some nice pastime, or somebody appreciated me or said various good things about me. Ah, so nice. No, but the whole idea of Shravanam is to prick us. Shravanam has to trigger us to introspect, to think all the time. It has to be all the time. And we have to make note. Oh, okay, see this aspect very bad. This aspect okay. This aspect may be good. And then we have to keep searching for answers. How many of us search for answers? Uh, for example, if suppose say we find that okay, something that I'm doing is not good. No, first of all, how many of us really know this about ourselves? If suppose say if you have to do this exercise for yourself, don't have to share. Mm. Spend 10 minutes to write down what all things about yourself you don't like. You don't like in the sense it's not in line with Shastra, it's not in line with what Prabhupada expects, not in line with what Acharyas want. And then you yourself do the exercise of saying, okay, now what do I need to do to get over these things? Why am I saying this? Because this task of satisfying the Supreme Person of Godhead can't happen just like, we wake up one fine day and just say, okay, from today, I'm going to start satisfying the Supreme Person of Godhead. It doesn't work that way. It's a lifelong process of continuous effort. Okay, this if I do, it's going to satisfy Krishna. This if I do, I should stop doing this because this is not going to satisfy Krishna. So that it has to be continuous, and we have to keep identifying, figuring ways to come out of it. And then what is the next stage? What is the next stage? What is the next stage? And that is why life of a devotee is not boring. It's not static. It's very dynamic. And to be able to keep bringing about changes in our life, one has to be determined. He has to be determined because he's trying to satisfy the Supreme Person of Godhead. He's to be determined because he's trying to achieve perfection in his life. He has to be determined because it's the most difficult task. So devotees have to make this a habit. Every now and then. Every now and then. Uh, I normally have some notes for myself where either I write down or it's mental note that okay, these are my top 3 things that I have to work on, because of which I'm not making progress. And then keep begging, 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 begging. Yeah, then read Bhagavatam, read Prabhupada's books, talk to senior devotees, get guidance, bring about those changes in our life, etc., etc., etc. It is a difficult task. It's the most difficult task, but it should be the only task for us. It should be the only task. Right now, for us, bhakti is like a pastime. Pastime, meaning when there is some time, I will do bhakti. That cannot help us achieve perfection. This has to be the only task for us. Only then we can achieve perfection. It's not so cheap. Going back is not a cheap process. So we have to be very determined, and that's the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear Dhruva Maharaj again and again. Okay, stopping here. If anybody has any questions, comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhu, when we are doing this Krishna conscious activity and when we are telling something, no, I should not tell like this. You always we are thinking that is all our fault only. We are not thinking others. Always, whatever I'm doing, any step, anything, anywhere, no, I should not do like this. I should not tell to him like this. See, my problem. I should to control I should to control my anger. Everything you have to think. No, whatever I'm doing, it is wrong.
Not necessarily whatever I'm doing, it is wrong. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is not wrong, it's not wrong.
No, sometimes we are tell means कुछ बोल देते हैं किसी को गुस्से से नहीं गुस्सा नहीं करना चाहिए ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए ऐसा बोलना चाहिए
अच्छा है वो
धीरे-धीरे ये सब slowly
No, that is good. See, this consciousness is important. That मैंने क्यों गुस्सा की? ये अच्छा नहीं है. I mean, this is how we actually, this is what I'm talking, saying that we have to know what I'm doing, but we should not be sentimental, right? It should be based on Shastra. If it is based on Shastra and we are able to actually recognize that, okay, we are doing mistakes, then it's absolutely perfect. And we'll remain in that consciousness and keep praying, figuring out ways to make changes to ourselves, etc., seek guidance. And then we'll come out of it. One day we will not have. So, like, for example, when we, at one stage in our devotional life, maybe there are 10 things in a day which we are thinking, this is not okay, this is not okay, this is not okay. Then after a few, years, then it'll be 5 things, then 3 things, then 2 things, 1 thing. Now, what we should be worried about is that we are not seeing any fault in us. We are only finding faults in others. This is not acceptable at all. Right? It's always good to find hundreds of faults within ourselves as long as it is true. Sometimes that's why I'm saying it is very important for us not to be sentimental and thinking I'm wrong. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Say for Krishna consciousness, and suppose you do something which might appear wrong materially, it might be okay. But again, you should take the guidance of, experienced devotees for that. So then we don't have to, for example, if suppose say I had to say whatever, yesterday we went on a yatra. Now for going for a yatra, if suppose I have to take leave and I have to tell a lie, it's not wrong. It's absolutely not wrong. Okay. But if you have to tell a lie for some material gain, then that's not correct. So like this, we have to know what Shastra is saying, what is right, what is wrong. And then, yes, we can feel bad about we should feel bad about our bad behavior. And we should keep introspecting so that we can actually make progress. Yeah, what else?
नहीं प्रभु देखो मैं ऑफिस में किसी को प्रमोशन मिल गया मेरे को प्रमोशन नहीं मिला हम लोग सोचते हैं उसको वो काम नहीं कर रहा है
वो तो मटेरियल है उसको तो नहीं करना है दैट इज मटेरियल
ये सब क्यों आते हैं उनके बारे में क्योंकि उसको कैसे मिला वो क्या कर रहा है
this is our material state, this is our conditioned state. तो ये आता है इसको हमको समझना है कि this is anartha, this has to go. So we stop when this thing comes about other people. It's envy. This is the reason why we are in this material world. So if you continue to think like this, then we have to understand nahi to ye to galat hai. This is not correct. Let me focus on my work. Sincerely, I should do my duty. And Krishna is saying, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Don't think about the fruit. You're thinking, I did work, I didn't get result. He didn't do work, he got result. You do your work. That's all. Full stop. Whether you get result, whether somebody else got result, that's not your business. That's what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, no? That is why we have to read Shastra. We have to understand Shastra. We have to be based, our life has to be based on Shastra. And with whatever is non-Shastric, we should give up. It takes time. Like I said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Takes time. But that is our envy. That is our root envy against. We are envious of Krishna. Why Krishna should be the only enjoyer? I also want to enjoy. These are all various manifestations of that same envy. That's all. Okay. Anything else? Okay. We can close here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vansa Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo cha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare Krishna.